As fullback, John Vasilou, Charlie McAllister, Mark Milner and Andy Stevenson are the three quarters. Keith Dixon and Andy Ayres in the half-back positions. And Ian Gakely, Paul Moses, Joe Grimmer, Steve Hall, Phil Stevenson and Mark Brooke-Cowden in the forwards. Carlton Farrell and John Walker the substitutes, and we've not got the best of positions, Daryl. We're right next to the timekeepers, Hooters, as we so readily heard there. But Mr Kershaw, the man in the white shirt, he's in charge this afternoon, and it should be an entertaining game nonetheless, because apart from Keighley having achieved the championship, Batley has still got something to prove to try and pull back that defeat on Friday night, Good Friday night over at Cougar Park, Daryl.
Yeah, they have, John, and also to try and improve the position for the playoffs. Obviously they want to try and get it top four if they can, give them a home game next week. So there's everything to play for today in an end of season note job. As Keighley obviously want to go out undefeated, increase the record, and they also want to play the football and show the fans that they're capable of playing football, even on a pitch like this, which is looking a bit bare, looking a bit hard, even with all the rain. Joe's won the toss and we're playing up the hill first half, so we're in with a good chance second half of season football.
And certainly the permutations are still on as to who will be playing who in those playoffs next weekend, because Batley look fairly well certain to still be playing here at Mount Pleasant when they'll be playing the ground sharing club of Dewsbury. And Keighley, of course, dependent upon who wins between Rydale, York and Hunslet this afternoon as to who Keighley play. It looks as though it could be Hunslet, but it may be Doncaster. We shall wait to see, but the outcome of this game really not having too much effect at all on that. Keighley then winning the toss, electing to play up the slope here at Mount Pleasant. Some considerable slope it is. And it's Hanlon, the standoff for Batley. He gets the game underway following the whistle of Mr Kershaw, and that's Phil Stevenson taking the ball, running back, gets to beyond the got outside of the 20-metre line to start with, and immediately Mr Kershaw penalising Jeff Gratian. Following on in the tackle, well, a combination of Jeff Gratian and Mark Bonus, that is. That one skewing off the side of Keith Dixon's boot, but nonetheless safely into touch. Paul Moses, he gets play back underway, coming in this afternoon for Jason Ramshaw. Jason, of course, played on Friday night, but only just managing to come back from that cartilage operation. And a little nudge forward there at the acting half-back by Paul Moses, being seen by referee Kershaw. So we've a scrum down some 35 metres out, and Keighley not really back to that 5-metre line as Hanlon tries to break through. He got the support of Simon Wilson with him. Jeff Gratian driving in, looking to offload. 20 metres from that Keighley line, almost in front of the post. Gets up and plays the ball over the far side, through Tomlinson's hands, onto number 10, Mark Spendler. But Keighley doing the tackling at the moment as the thunder rumbles round this Mount Pleasant ground. And not the best of passes back there from Tomlinson. But Batley still in possession as the last tackle comes up. The ball moving across for the chip forward and the chase. Oh, and a knock on there. Just a little knock on there. I believe fullback Steve Wilson. And that really, Daryl, is how one of the tries came for Batley in the early stages of the game at Keighley last Friday, isn't it? With a chip forward, with a fullback following through. Yeah, Johnny, a good try there if he'd have taken it. Excellent kick, chip through. Keighley hadn't covered it. The fullback, unfortunately, well, fortunately for Keighley, knocked on there. They'd been a cracking try if he'd have taken it. Meanwhile, this is Steve Hall, the big second row for Keighley, who caused so much damage to this Batley defence in the second half on Friday night. They'd no way of handling him as Mark Brooke-Cowden, the loose forward now, breaks towards the halfway line. Tackled on that halfway line. Moses waiting at acting half, brings on Stevenson. Phil Stevenson tackles some 7 or 8 metres inside the Batley half. Andy Ayres runs round there with Dixon, brings on Milner. Milner almost splits that Batley defence, but 10 metres inside the Batley half as the last tackle comes. Stevie Hall gets the ball across for the ace, chip through, looking for that touchline on the far side. And it's a good touch finder, driving Batley back up this hill. Scrum will form some 10 metres from the Batley line. The lightning flashes increase as Batley clear their own 10-metre line from that scrum, but 2 tackles used and they're still inside the 20. Just managing to break out now. Wingman Gary Thornton, that was through the hands of Tomlinson. Now though on the far side, Hanlon sets the centre free. Andy Ayres though there doing the tackling straight into touch. A good break there though by the centre. Yeah, it was a centre, Mike Booth there going down that touchline side, but well taken out there by Andy Ayres, Daryl.
Yeah, a good tackle there, John. Booth did pass at the time, you know, he got rid of the ball, but he passed straight into touch. But Andy shepherded him down that touchline side. There was no way he was going to go all the way there. Andy had him covered.
And that's a penalty at the scrum for KEIGHLEY, just inside their own half of the field now.
Differential penalty there, John, so I think he's give it for KEIGHLEY, Batley going down too soon after he told him not to.
Ball then safely into touch and 2 balls on the field. Just a little bit of confusion there in the KEIGHLEY run through. Ayres gets the ball out to Hall. Hall strides through the first tackle, but he falls to the arms of the second tacklers there. And in fact, Hall going to be penalised there for Tomlinson. Tomlinson interfering at the tackle. Hall rising to the bait and suffering the consequences, Daryl.
Yeah, he's given a silly penalty away there, Steve. These players do interfere at the tackle. You've got to, you know, accept that. KEIGHLEY do it as much as anybody else and just accept it and get on with the game. Don't push him away. Mr. Kershaw's quite right giving the penalty there.
Well, certainly I'd have thought that from the experience of Friday night, following the game at KEIGHLEY, that KEIGHLEY would have been well aware of this man Tomlinson. He's a good scrum half. He's niggly round he's like all scrum halves really. He's very niggly around the play of the balls, and also supplying the breaks there as he almost put Thornton into the gap. Well, he did put Thornton into the gap, but the wingman unable to take full advantage of the opportunity presented to him. Mark Bonus there, met fully there by Mark Brooke-Cowden and Joe Grimmer, finding no way through at all. Whittaker tackled midfield. In fact, now that's Whittaker, 12 and 2, just a little bit difficult to identify, but certainly that's Whittaker now, who did the initial break, refusing really to stand up on his own feet. There comes the kick through again, but Andy Ayres is behind that one to take it. Mike Booth, the centre, doing the kicking through, as Wayne Race stepping through from the full-back position. A good 10-12 metres gain there for the KEIGHLEY full-back. Andy Stevenson just not able to hold his feet in the sandy centre of this field. Joe Grimmer feeds a nice ball out there to Milner. Milner's going at the touchline, taken out there. John Vasilou should score here though. He's going to go in and score. John Vasilou. That was good refereeing there, Daryl, by Jerry Kershaw, because certainly Mark Milner was taken out after the ball was kicked through, but Mr. Kershaw well aware of the situation, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was there, John. Good decision that. I let play continue. He realised that John Vasilou were clear. He realised also that Mark had been taken out off the ball, so it could have been a penalty had KEIGHLEY not scored. They gave him advantage. Good 4 points.
And that try, as the public address quite rightly says, came on the 7th minute of this first half. I think we have to be say as well, though, don't we, Daryl? It was against the break of against the run of play. Batley having been down in the KEIGHLEY half for most of that 7 minutes. Keighley absorbed the pressure, and you spotted the break, didn't you?
Yeah, good break there. Joe offloaded the ball well to Mark. Mark come well down the short side and realised that he couldn't go the full distance, that I cut him off, so he kicked and let him take him out the ball. By taking him off the ball, they also took themselves out the game.
Oh, and that ball just attempted conversion by John Vasilou, just shaving that left hand upright, but the early points then, the early score to Keighley, 4 points to 0 their lead. Stevie Hall taking that deep kick-off from the Batley standoff, manages to get beyond his own 20-metre line before being tackled. The rain absolutely pouring down here now at Mount Pleasant as Andy Stevenson loses that ball. Stevie Walker taking it in for Batley. Good strong run there from the young Batley centre as the ball spread about, and Jeff Gratian there not really prepared to have taken that ball. Nonetheless he did, but the movement breaking down for Batley there just inside the Keighley 20. Tomlinson runs across the face of play onto Hanlon. Hanlon gets the ball out there, but knocked on. Whittaker managing to offload the ball, but unfortunately not able to be taken up by the Batley player in support. Mark Milner just limping a little bit in front of his own post, but receiving some attention. And Steve Walker as well, the Batley centre, receiving some attention on his shoulder. That ball safely out into the hands of the Keighley defence. Marbrook Cowden spreading the ball. McAllister again onto Milner. Milner coming up this touchline side. Batley a bit short here because the centre still limping back to get back in his cover defence position. Andy Ayres, in fact, Steve Walker leaving the field as Dixon gets the ball across to Gately. Gately releases Race. Race has got support, but he's not going to need it. Wayne Race is under the sticks. Oh, and that's a celebration try if I ever saw one from Keighley. Oh boy, what a try that was. What a brilliant try, what good support play, and how well Wayne Race linked up there, Darryl.
Excellent try that, John. It just showed the buck down this left-hand side here, front of the main stand. Good break, and they realised that the Batley were late in coming over. They did come over in a lot of numbers, so they switched it out the far side, and there were Wayne. Good break altogether off Wayne, and left the full-back for dead under the post. Beautiful try.
Certainly was, and the speed with which Keighley moved that ball across the field after the initial break up this touchline side was certainly something to see. Batley was short on this side. The centre Stevie Walker had received an injury as he took the ball in towards the Keighley line. They were short as John Vasilou notches the two extras. Say Batley were short on this main stand side, with Walker being missing out of the line. But then Keighley switched play. Mark Milner then taking that ball on the full just before it went into touch, and just reminded by the public address that score, I would have thought it was perhaps the score before. In fact, John Vasilou, having broken yet another record, 42 matches in which he's scored consecutive, is Stevie Hall now drives that ball in for Keighley up towards within 10 metres of the halfway line. Race out through the hands to Marbrook Cowden. Play midfield, just inside the Keighley half of the field. Moses spreads it back. Andy Ayres skips back to Moses, but Moses wrapped up there. Last tackle comes up, indicated by the arm of Mr. Kershaw, high in the air as Dixon pushes that ball upfield. A lovely touch finder again, just inside the Batley 10, but the scrum will form on that 10-metre mark, in from touch and out from the try line. as the thunder rumbles round Mount Pleasant again. It could be considered to be the roar of the Cougars, no doubt, Darrell.
Almost, John. The crowd up the top end of the ground there, certainly letting the voices giving it some stick this afternoon.
Batley now breaking down the centre of the field from that scrum. That's the substitute, Danny Hardcastle. He's taking the place of Steve Walker. Tomlinson getting the ball across to Gratian, but Gratian unceremoniously decked there by Stevenson. And again the ball moving out quickly to this side, but that's number 11, Mark Bonus. Well tackled by the Keighley defenders on the halfway line. Gary Thornton moves it through the hands of Tomlinson and Hanlon, bringing on Whittaker, but play still stuck on this halfway line. The kick comes through, down on the floor. Wayne Race it is who regathers from that Tomlinson chip through. And again, almost escaping the attention of the forwards. Mark Spengler, the one in particular, not able to hang on to him. And it's Steve Hall coming up again. Every time this man gets the ball, whether he's running uphill, downhill or across the field, he seems to make at least 10 metres gain. KEIGHLEY. Play just slightly grinding to a halt there. 5 metres inside the Keighley half of the field. Joe Grimmer taking the ball in for Keighley, as Moses gets it out now through Ayres onto Dixon. Dixon goes back through the centre of the field, looks for the support. He's got Moses on his outside, but Keith was just looking on his inside for the support now as Andy Ayres switches it back to KEIGHLEY, but forward passes Mr Kershaw. And it's actually that's a handover situation, as Ian KEIGHLEY made an attempt at the strike as the lightning flashes once more over the far side of the field. Whittaker looking to get through the centre of that Keighley defence, but no holes through for him at the moment. Keighley leading by 10 points to 0. Similar situation, similar timings to that which took place at Keighley last Friday evening. Same scoreline, same time, but different way round, of course. Nice ball inside there to Mark Spengler, but equally well met by the two Keighley props, Grimmer and KEIGHLey. And it's Tomlinson once more forced into pushing that kick downfield. John Vasilou watching the way in which the ball was bouncing, tackled as he received the ball. Very little gain forward, in fact, and Batley caught offside here. In fact, Ian KEIGHLEY, the man penalised for not getting back. Well, Donald, was he interfering with play, or is Jerry Kershaw just being the silly boy?
I don't know there, Johnny. If he stayed behind the Batley players to let the Batley players advance, he was keeping out of the way. But if he was trying to go through the line and interrupting the line as they were going forward, then Mr Kershaw was correct. Unfortunately, I didn't see which way it was. But it could have been playing silly buggers, like you said.
Well, certainly Ian KEIGHLEY seemed to be moving forward with the speed of a dead wombat. You know, I mean, he wasn't really moving at all. He was behind the line, but nonetheless, Mr Kershaw now put KEIGHLEY under pressure as the Tomlinson brings on again fullback Wilson into this near corner of the field, moving out through Tomlinson on through Gratian and Hanlon over the far side. Oh, well taken there, certainly well taken by the number 4 Mike Booth. It was the sort of pass was that. It was either a good one or it was a bad one, wasn't it? If you take it, it's spectacular. If it's not, the guy who passed it's a baddie.
Yeah, they certainly were there, John. I think had he missed it, Keighley could have had 6 points at the other end. They had the numbers really, but they were too far out wide. Once he'd taken the ball, the line was open to him. Good 4 points.
And certainly Mike Booth scoring that try. 17 minutes then, getting the first points on the board for Batley. And quite rightly, exactly as Darrell says, it could have been a good one. It was a good one, but it could so easily have been 6 points the other way as well had he not been able to take that ball basketball fashion, and Keighley could so easily have scooped it up and gone the length of the field and under the post at the other end. As it is, it's 4 points on the board to Batley. 17 minutes on the clock. And it's Simon Wilson, the Batley fullback, looking to add on the extras. Well, it's certainly got the height, and the touch judges say it's got the right direction, so we've now got then 10 points to 6 in favour of Keighley, 17.5 minutes on the clock. The sun shines through a watery sky, and the lightning flashes and the thunder roars around this Mount Pleasant ground. Andy Ayres at least 5 yards offside there as Keighley kicked off behind the back of Jerry Kershaw. And Whittaker well met there by the Keighley defence as he tried to run that ball clear. That's number 15, Danny Hardcastle. 35 metres out from his own, 25 out from his own line as the Jeff Gratian dipped very low there, but unable to offload in the tackle. Trying hard to milk a penalty there, Gratian, but not a Keighley player near him. I think it was perhaps his aging bones and what have you that he was having difficulty lifting off the ground there. That's a knock-on. Keighley will regather, but Paul Moses must have been at least 15 metres further back there where Paul Moses picked the ball up. Yes, it's advantage to Keighley, but the knock-on taking place inside the Batley half of the field. And now Mr Kershaw wipes the slate clean. It's 6 from now, which is very interesting. An interesting debate there as Charlie McAllister drives in. Interesting that, Daryl. Mr Kershaw wiped the slate clean. The ball going 15 metres forward from the knock-on. Through 3 or 4 pairs of Keighley hands before the tackle made. And Andy Ayres now on the break, spreads it back inside to his standoff Dixon. We'll come back to that point in a moment as McAllister gets the ball out there to Grimmer. Grimmer running in towards that Batley try line. Held on his back over the top. We've got a scrum. It's a 10-yard scrum. This is going to be a head and feed to Keighley under the new rule in this season. It was in the series of 5. Mr Kershaw absolutely correct there. But going back to that, Darrell, just quickly before this, while this scrum goes in, it went through 3 or 4 Keighley hands, and then the referee wiped it clear. Keighley having plainly taken an advantage of using the passing movement.
Yeah, he shouldn't have wiped it clear there, John. The rules state that if you got to get over the advantage line, or pass to get over the advantage line, that way you're using the advantage by passing and hopefully making a break.
Nonetheless, the play now 10 metres from that Batley line as Ayres gets... Oh, and Charlie McAllister spilling that ball. 2 knock-on, 1 either way. We've got a scrum, it's in front of the post. The head and feed will be the other direction this time, though. McAllister just taking his eye off the ball. In fact, I'm surprised that he was in that position. That ball, well, Stevie Hall breaking very quickly from that pack there. Surprised in fact that he wasn't called offside, but Mr Kershaw satisfying himself that the ball was out before Hall broke from the pack. That ball again, another knock on. This time it's Danny Hardcastle, and I think Darrell Batley just panicking slightly at the moment, trying to get the ball away from their own defence.
I think it's a case of Friday's game as well, John. You know, it's a bit much to expect people to play on a Friday night, a real top-class game like they played, and then again on Monday, you know, they haven't really got all the aches and the pains out from the game, and people are still feeling their way in this game, as you can see. It's littered by mistakes, both sides.
Dixon then gets the ball, and McAllister this time hangs on to it, offloads to Dixon. Oh, and that was a good ball out, unfortunately for Keighley. Milner unable to take full advantage, but that's on the far side now to Andy Stevenson. Ball going all over the place. Again, the lightning flashes, the knock-on occurs. And quite rightly, the game on Friday night certainly was a very hard game for both sides, and hardly surprising that these mistakes are being made. Ball in and out then to Batley. But again, a good crunching tackle coming left and right there. Jeff Gresham breaking in and half offloading there, but putting his colleague under tremendous pressure there, Hanlon, and taking himself further back as Tomlinson gets the ball across and out. Last one, says Mr. Kershaw. Batley still 15 metres inside their own half of the field. The ball almost going anywhere. Eventually put downfield and into touch. No, it's not going in. It's bounced back in field. It's Wayne Race, the Keighley fullback, doing the sweeping up at the back of the field, back of the defence. Stevenson handing off, handing off the first tackler there, only to fall to the hands of the loose forward Mark Cass. 5 metres then now from the halfway line. Moses, forward pass there to Ian Gately. Mr. Kershaw some 15 metres away from the play. Moses passes the way, but Mr. Kershaw says nothing wrong with that one. And again it's McCowden onto Moses. Moses, Keighley keeping the ball well alive there, but it's the last tackle coming up now as Andy Ayres, acting halfback, gets the ball out to Dixon. Dixon applies the left boot, hoists it towards the area where Wilson is, but the ball going dead. Harmlessly, but nonetheless it's still keeping the pressure up on that Batley defence. We've had 24, nearly 25 minutes of this first half as Jeff Gresham driving down the centre of the Mount Pleasant slope. Ten metres inside his own half of the field as hooker Tommy Oldroyd made a bit of a breakfast of that one there. No pressure on him at all, over anxious to get the ball about and moved through the hands and to try launch another attack by Batley, or an attack by Batley down the far side of the field. Ayres feeds literally as Dixon gets the ball onto Wayne Race, the Keighley fullback. Now it's Andy Ayres. Andy Ayres out to Mark Brook-Cowden. Half break there by Brook-Cowden. Danny Hardcastle hanging onto his feet as John Vasilou goes inside, steps, jinks, but doesn't manage to get too many yards further forward. But the scene is set in the centre of the field as Gately now off. Oh, and what a poor pass there. Mark Milner doing very well as Charlie McAllister. This man will offload in the tackle if he can, but there's so many Batley shirts around him, I don't think he's any chance at all. Sealed up as tight as a biscuit tin there. Mark Brook-Cowden, nice ball out there to Vasilou. Vasilou's going up this touchline side, but in fact, eventually a foot going into touch. I suspect the tackle may well have been made before the foot went in, but nonetheless, the touch judge eventually did put his flag up. So we've got a scrum down 10 metres out from the Batley line. It will be the Batley scrum half Tomlinson to feed. Ball eventually going in and out of the scrum, and good breaking again by Steve Hall from that pack as soon as the ball was released. Tomlinson there doing the pushing off at the play of the ball this time. Remember, Steve Hall was penalised for doing that. Tomlinson getting away with it on that occasion, and Whittaker on the far side tackled some 28 metres out from his own line. 27 minutes of the first half gone then as Tomlinson tries to set Gresham on the run, but it's the last one as Batley play the ball inside their own half. The kick comes down the far touchline side. Wayne Race takes it on the first bounce, looks back inside, rounds Mike Booth with ease, almost gets away from Tomlinson, but not able to do so. Andy Stevenson, in fact, a knock on there. Wayne Race losing the ball there as he went to put it down on the ground. Just looked appealingly at referee Kershaw, vainly hoping, I think, there that he might have said that the ball was stripped out of his hands, but certainly nothing of the case, as still the lightning flashes round here. Tomlinson feeding this scrum then. Out back through the loose forward, through Hanlon onto Booth, and it's full-back Wilson in the line. Wilson's going and manages to get the ball out there to winger Marshall. Marshall gets in, and that was a good move straight from the base of the scrum there, and there's a couple of players down on the far side of the field. But that was a good try there, Darrell, straight from the base of the scrum on the short side. And how many times KEIGHLEY have been caught on that short side this season?
Yeah, they were caught there, John. They were caught badly there. The overlap was there plenty of time. Could see that Batley had brought the full back in up that far side. They had extra men all the way down there. They used it exceptionally well. Once they all covered across, the pass back inside it, in the winger went. Excellent try.
Yeah, that try coming 28 minutes then. And two KEIGHLEY players obviously colliding there as they went to cover the tackle. Mark Brook-Cowden, one of them, and the other still down on the floor. But a good try there by Paul Marshall, giving Simon Wilson the opportunity to add his second conversion and in fact put Batley in front. Well, that's striking the woodwork, so the score remains at 10 apiece. KEIGHLEY then restarting. Ball going through, and in fact, no matter whether it touched him or not, the ball's gone dead. It's a drop out from underneath the post. Initial mistake where the ball went through the Batley defender's legs, causing the confusion at the back of the defence there for Batley, putting themselves back under pressure after levelling the scores. And that's a good kick downfield, well taken by Steve Hall. He takes a quick blow, drives through, and there's four or maybe five Batley players round in there, certainly four initially anyway, as Moses now spreads the ball out to the far side of the field. Phil Stevenson, Charlie McAllister, Ian KEIGHLEY now taking the ball in. Some 7 or 8 metres from the Batley line as Grimmer now gets the ball. Offloads there, offloads to Ayres. Ayres unable to get into his stride and through the gap there. Plays the ball. KEIGHLEY got the numbers here as Grimmer now caught in possession. We've not seen too much of Joe Grimmer this half, Darrell, have we? It seems to have been, I won't say hiding, but it seemed to mean sweeping behind the defensive line.
Certainly has, John, yeah, and he hasn't been taking it up quite as much as I'd like to see him take it up. We did there, but he offloaded very early to Andy Ayres. Nearly brought a try. And as he's saying himself, at the second half, coming down the hill, hoping to knock a few over.
Yes, certainly that could well be the case. Ian KEIGHLEY certainly been the man doing the taking in the early stages, or in this first half, with Steve Hall, as Jeff Gratian there loses the ball in the tackle. It's going to be a knock-on. It'll be knock-on both ways, it's got to be. We shall be looking here, I think, at a scrum down with a head and feet to KEIGHLEY. Oh, and the play switch there as Dixon had gone round. In fact, McAllister running into Dixon. Ayres now, as the play switches back to this open side. Ayres skipping away from the defenders, eventually taken down 20 metres out from the Batley line. Moses at acting half-back. Mark. Certainly one of the Batley supporters behind us giving their unqualified advice as to what they should be doing to the KEIGHLEY attack. As Dixon tackles some 10 metres from the Batley line now. Moses brings on Grimmer. Grimmer drives in, dips in the tackle, offloads back into the centre, onto Dixon, on through the hands of Ayres as Wayne Race over the far side. Race coming back in field. Not really too much support outside in the Batley defence has now remarshalled itself as Milner on through the hands of Dixon. Not a good pass there to Steve Hall, adjudged to be forward by Jerry Kershaw. And we're looking for a substitution now for KEIGHLEY. Carlton Farrell, the man who's going to come on the field. And it's going to be Mark Brook-Cowden. He's going to take a rest. Some 6.5, 7 minutes of the first half left. Mark Brook-Cowden, the man, going to come off. The clock's eventually stopped by referee Kershaw to have a look at one of the Batley players right in front of the post there. Mr. Kershaw just going to have a look at him quickly. It looks like it could be Jeff Gratian, but altogether, Dal, so far this half, 10-10 the score with something just over 6 minutes left to go. Quite a pleasing performance really from KEIGHLEY's point of view. What is a tremendous hill here.
Yeah, it is, John. Yeah, I'll let you know that they're used to playing on a hill, being down at Lorcombe Lane there. But this is a little bit steeper, but holding Batley to 10-all at half-time is a good do. In fact, really, they should be in front. You know, the Batley's last try, the second try was given away, really, on Wayne Race losing the ball when they were just driving it out, first tackle. So, we've got a penalty there. I just can't quite see. Crossing is give it for. Yeah, if KEIGHLEY can hold this pressure, give a little bit more pressure, possibly and get another try before half-time.
Yeah, and certainly a score before half-time following that penalty. In fact, John Vasilow's been called in to go for goal. John Vasilow then being called in just to attempt to get the 2 points in front again for KEIGHLEY. It's 10 metres in from the touchline side and he's set that ball down some 25 metres out from the try line. Straight into the sun as the ball goes towards the post, but misses, but nonetheless it's gone dead, so KEIGHLEY will retain possession as Batley put some heave-ho behind the ball as they put the ball deep downfield. If I was in Wayne Race's boots, I might just be on my own try line, but that's not a good drop out really. This is Steve Hall again, rampaging through that Batley defence. Gets up, plays the ball on to Carlton Farrell, the fresh legs of Farrell. Being asked to do the initial running. Moses again on to Ayres. It's that man KEIGHLEY driving in, just dipping into the first tackle as he goes. Gets up and plays the ball as Andy Ayres now gets into Joe Grimmer. Grimmer slides through the first tackle and Carlton Farrell looked like a quick readjustment there as he took that ball. Moses once more, now it's inside, approaching the 10 metre as Mark Milner receives a slow lob pass there from Charlie McAllister inside the Batley 10 metre area. It's the last tackle. McAllister's going to have to release it. Well, Mr. Kershaw didn't give him any time to release that. He blew the whistle for the handover straight away. And Jeff Gratian, the aching bones there, in at acting half-back, and certainly the bones showing us already. This man, though, played 2 games in 3 days. More than many half his age would want to do, but that's a good break on the far side now there from Whittaker. Ball going out, but well tackled. It looked a bit flat. In fact, Mr. Kershaw gives the forward pass. It's certainly flat pass, Darrell. No doubt we're right in line here.
Yeah, definite forward pass that there, John. Jimmy Kershaw in line with it. He saw it same as me, forward pass.
So then just inside the KEIGHLEY half, this scrum will form. We've got some 2 minutes left before we're into stoppage time. Wayne Race almost being able to take advantage of the swiftly moving defence line from Batley as they moved it very quickly from that scrum. Ayers gets the ball out to Faddle. Faddle driving the ball in. Gets up, plays the ball, manages somehow to hang on to it as Andy Stevenson this time driving in. 30 metres out. Approaching the centre of the field as Moses gets onto Gately. Through the hands to Steve Hall, and Steve Hall striding over the prone body there and manages to release even so as Gately gets the ball out there to Vasilou. And Vasilou taken very, very high there. Mr. Kershaw totally ignored it, but certainly must have ridden up from the chest as the last tackle comes then as Dixon spreads it quickly. Ayers, Gately in the way, but the ball out there eventually. Mark Milner's coming back inside. It's the last tackle though. The ball lost and the handover in effect surrendered there by Batley as they regathered. Wait to see if Mr. Kershaw now wipes clean. He does. Number 10 then, Mark Spendler, and Keighley just getting a little bit at 6s and 7s with themselves there, with the Batley line beckoning at the mercy. Tomlinson then moving the ball and half threatening to kick there, and offload Ian Gately, the man in the way for the offload. Gratian, that looked a bit forward there to Wilson, but not given by the referee, and the wingman stepping in from an offside position to take that ball. Tomlinson now, a nice kick there as Booth did the chasing on the Tomlinson kick through, but Wayne Race seemingly very casually to approach the ball initially, but he'd obviously got it very well weighed up as Stevenson comes away from acting half-back. The timekeepers to our right shake the air in the bottle as there's another forward-looking pass to Ian Gately that time. Moses onto Ayers, Ayers to Stevie Hall. Stevie Hall tackles some 5 metres short of the halfway line. Paul Moses offloads to Ayers, Ayers out to Dixon, bringing on Joe Grimmer in the centre of the field. Offloads to Faddle, Faddle stepping inside. We've seen tries in this half from John Vasilou and from Wayne Race, with one John Vasilou conversion giving Keighley their 10, and from Mike Booth and Paul Marshall. Paul Booth and, I beg your pardon, Paul Marshall and Mike Booth, with one conversion from Simon Wilson giving the Batley 10, but my words, what a breakfast Wilson made of that one, and what a lot of pressure John Vasilou put on him. And certainly Wilson taking all the time in the world to get back to those posts. You'd think they were playing uphill with defending a 40-point lead the way he's going across there, Daryl.
Yeah, well, Johnny, we were certainly waiting for half-time. That much is a certainty. They were just hanging on, aren't they?
Yes, I don't think they find the... Certainly don't think they find the thought of coming out in the second half, playing up this slope here to defend what could well be another rampant second half display by the Keighley Cougars. As it is, the half-time scores locked even. Batley 10, Keighley 10. All prepared then for the start of this second half as the timekeepers check with the referee, and away we go. Doesn't look to be any changes in either side. And it's Whittaker for Batley driving the ball back towards the 20-metre line now. That ball dropped onto the floor, but allowed to progress his players 30 metres out now, almost 30 metres out. As Gresham drives in, offloads in the tackle through the hands of Tomlinson, gets the ball out to the far side of the field. That's Hardcastle tackled 10 metres short of the halfway line. The ball thrown almost anywhere as Wilson pumps that ball deep upfield. The bounce beats full-back Wayne Race. Takes his time, eventually settles with it. Runs round the attempted tacklers of the advancing Batley defence. Certainly they'll be looking to try and put some pressure on KEIGHLEY in the first few minutes of this second half. I feel Darrell they'll be using all their energies to try to get in front early doors, and if they don't succeed in the first 10-15 minutes, I think we might see a fold over.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. John, forward pass there off Stevenson. This is what KEIGHLEY have got to do. They've got to back each other up down this middle and not play the game in their own half, really. They can't get out by driving out. They've got to kick out and chase, have a good kick and chase game, keep the ball down in the Batley half.
So then Hanlon gets the ball out through the hands of Booth. Wilson just readjusts there. Certainly quite a live wire as this full-back Simon Wilson. Booth again a readjustment. Forward pass there from Hanlon, going unmissed by referee Kershaw. Again 15 metres away from the action as Tomlinson switches play, gets it onto Gresham. He brings on the full-back. There's Booth. Booth switches inside. I think possibly the wrong option was taken there. I thought Paul Marshall had a better chance, but it's Mark Cass on the KEIGHLEY 10 as Hanlon gets the ball over the far side there to Aldroyd, I beg your pardon, to Spendler. Whittaker moving the drive in there, just inside the KEIGHLEY 10. Tomlinson chips through for the chase. He's looking for that chase there for Wilson. In fact, a try given. That was bad defence by KEIGHLEY, but it was that chip again for Wilson, Darrell. KEIGHLEY really do need to check the socks. 3 tries they've conceded from the same move in 2 games. 3 tries in 2 games.
Yeah, they're not awake to this kick at all. They know what Batley do. They know how they do it. They don't support the kick. They don't back the kicker. They don't back the kick up at all. They let the kick go. They just think it's going to go dead all the time, and it doesn't do. And like it showed there, it stopped, and Wilson were on it in a flash. Excellent try.
It certainly was, and what a sucker punch for KEIGHLEY. I mean, they've bought it once in the first half. They've just bought it again, and they bought it in the early exchanges of the game on Friday night as well. 3 tries this man Wilson's got from that Tomlinson kick through, and KEIGHLEY have still not wakened up to it. I beg your pardon, in fact it's only 2 because he did in fact miss it, but it was so much on the cards that he could so easily have got the other one in the first half. A similar sort of thing. Fortunately the ball just beating him on that occasion, but nonetheless KEIGHLEY have really got to work themselves up to that chip through. They've been proved to be very, very susceptible to it, and Batley have now gone into the lead for the first time, 14 points to 10, and can't say that it's undeserved because they certainly tried very hard. I thought they'd be coming out with all guns firing, attempting to get an early score on the door. Something similar to that which KEIGHLEY did, and I think now KEIGHLEY have got to get off the backsides out of the dressing room and really take the game to Batley. Saying that, they've got to get the ball to do it with first. A nice ball again, but interchange of play there, and Steve Hall eventually managing to get back and pick it up. Ian Gately not laying a hand on that. Had he done so, Hall would have been offside. And this is Stevenson now taking the ball in. Tightly respect possession now for KEIGHLEY. Steve Hall again being has to do the donkey work with the driving, set the things up in front of the post. It's Stevenson, I beg your pardon, I thought perhaps Andy Ayres was going to come onto that ball, but the play was switched. It's Joe Grimmer ready now to take this one, takes it in, but stops, offloads. Fortunately, Keighley in a position to be able to sweep up. It's the last tackle now though, as Ayres runs across the face, gets it out to McAllister. Andy Stevenson settles it and holds on, but it's regathered by, well, it looked about, it might have been even knocked on there by Mike Booth as he got that ball. But Mr. Kershaw now saying that that was the uncounted tackle from the handover, or not really handover, the repossession gathered by Batley. Gratian some 25 metres out from his own line as Tomlinson looks to kick the ball upfield. Kicking with more purpose in the second half. The wind obviously blowing up the field as Wayne Ray's taken all the way back to his own try line. Tackle there. There are three Batley players there up, and rather foolishly Cass not allowing Race to get up and play the ball when the Keighley defence was nowhere in sight. Had he got off that ball, I think Batley may well have found Keighley defence somewhat stretched. As it was, Batley doing Keighley's cause a lot of good there as Milner held in that tackle some 10 metres from the halfway line. Ball coming across there to Andy Ayres. Ayres struggling his way through. Grimmer now on to Dixon. Dixon brings on Stevenson. Stevenson, ball out there, knocked on, counted back to one. The referee should wipe the slate clean as Ayres steps through the centre. Offloads Ayres. Referee Kershaw must wipe the slate clean. He does so. I don't know whether Keighley have seen it as Hall goes through the centre there. The ball knocked on, was it? Yes. I feel sure by the way in which Keighley were moving that ball there, Darrell, they hadn't seen the wiping clean. Mr. Kershaw, very, very late wiping, wasn't he?
Yeah, he might have been shouting the players back to one, but he certainly didn't wave his arms to wipe it clean. Well, very late, like you said, and all the Keighley players had the backs to him when he did wipe it clean.
And there's a double substitution coming on here. It's Phil Stevenson going off, Mark Brook-Cowden coming back on, and it's Neil Hartley for Batley and Mark Spendler coming off. Ball out then to Batley as they come away from that scrum. It's the wingman Gary Thornton. On to Hartley. Hartley getting 5 metres clear of his own 20-metre line before being brought down. Ball looked a bit forward again there to Jeff Gratian. Again, trying the old hand, trying to milk the penalty, but not impressing the referee. Shades of a cross there as Wilson gets the ball away to the far side, onto the wingman. Basilou's going on, and certainly good handling there as Booth not able to get the ball away to Marshall. But some good handling there by Batley up that touchline side, bringing a knock on. But certainly Keighley have been taken apart in these first 10 minutes, aren't they, Darrell?
Yeah, Batley's playing all the football up the sill, John. They're throwing it about well. And that was an excellent move there. And fortunately for Keighley that Batley knocked on. Otherwise it could have been a try.
Keighley then almost saying with all the work to do, they've got the work to do, but it's in the slopes in the right direction as far as they're concerned. Carlton Farrell still not able to get away from the tackling attempts. Mark Brook-Cowden this time some 30 metres out from his own line before being tackled. Moses up slowly. I beg your pardon, Moses waits as Grimmer now takes the charge through the centre of the field, brought down by Gratian and assisted by 3 others. And Stevie Hall steps to the one side, then the other as he gets into the Batley territory. It's the last tackle, says Mr. Kershaw. Ian Gately again looking for some breath as Dixon pumps that ball. That's been hit by a Batley player and knocked on and should be recovered. Well, it was certainly knocked on there by Mike Booth. The touch does not assist him, Mr. Kershaw. Definite knock on there, Darrell.
Yeah, he didn't. Mr. Kershaw didn't look at the touch judge at all. He just let play go, and he certainly didn't look at him from my angle anyway.
Hartley then some 8 metres inside his own half as Batley coming back up this hill again. Tomlinson, the man in charge in the centre. Little General this time, not able to offload, but plays the ball, and it's Gratian on through Hanlon. Hanlon cutting back inside, going almost as fast sideways as he went forwards there, but eventually it's the other little fella, Moses, does the tackling and stops that particular movement. Tomlinson over to Cass. Cass now to Wilson with a chip forward, looking for the touch. Finds that touch line, 10 metres from the Keighley line. And once more, Batley driving Keighley back up this slope. Seems harder work, Darrell, walking back up the slope than running up it.
Certainly does. Keighley making it look harder anyway.
Ball out then as Andy Ayres gets the ball across now, and it's moving quickly across field as Mark Milner gets the ball out to Stevenson. Stevenson coming down, but well shepherded there by Paul Marshall, and well tackled as well, as Charlie McAllister now takes that ball, dips through the first, almost to the halfway line before being tackled, being laid on there by Whittaker, but Mr. Kershaw not interested as KEIGHLEY now steps inside. A nice offload there, but well read by the Batley defenders. Paul Moses, the little fella, just gets up. Ayres gets the ball out to Grimmer. Grimmer getting almost through those tackles, a good 15 metres through. Ayres switches the ball back inside, looks for KEIGHLEY, but KEIGHLEY gets it and finds Hall. It's the last tackle once more coming up. KEIGHLEY seem to be able to get within that 20-metre line, but don't seem to be able to penetrate. They've now got the chance on. Wayne Race really taken round the top. Mr. Kershaw not interested, but that was certainly a high tackle, Darrell, on Wayne Race. The lad's still on his back. Yeah, definitely a high tackle there. I think Mr. Kershaw were more concerned about the last tackle, whether he was going to offload or not. Definite penalty there. He should have given that. Bad decision. What concerns me about this is that Mr. Kershaw totally lost control a couple of weeks ago of a game at Carlisle when Huddersfield were the visitors, allowing just that sort of incident to go unpunished. Gratian again coming upfield, offloads back. Joe Grimmer tackles. Again, Mr. Kershaw not looking. The touch judge at the far side has come on this time. But really, Darrell, it's the tackle, the previous tackle that Mr. Kershaw allowed to get away. It's precisely the reason why that sort of thing happens then, isn't it? Certainly is, John. Frustration creeps into players. I think if we're getting clobbered, we're getting no protection by this referee and his touch judges, so we're going to have a go back. That's just what happened there. Mr. Kershaw is at fault. He's going to give a penalty against KEIGHLEY here, and he is at fault. And as I was saying, the Carlisle-Huddersfield game resulted in no less than 5 players being sent off by this referee in the space of 8 minutes. And I'm told, had the game gone longer, there'd have been more walked. A total lack of control by the man in white. As Hartley now drives that ball in, and KEIGHLEY have really got to keep the cool here, because obviously both those he missed. One the touch judge saw, the other one the touch judge ignored. As Tomlinson now gets the ball out. Gratian using the switch there in almost obstruction, and as Marshall, the wingman, and KEIGHLEY caught offside. It looks now, Darrell, as though Mr. Kershaw's about to penalise KEIGHLEY just a little bit out of sight for a while. Probably so, John, yeah. Joe might have said something and upset him, but if he does, it's bad refereeing. A penalty attempt then for Simon Wilson. He's been successful with just the one so far. Looking to extend this lead to the 6 points. Well, that's a let-off for Keighley, and I think Batley will be very disappointed by Wilson's attempt there. Very casual approach by Simon Wilson, the side foot hooking the ball to the left-hand side of the uprights. "15 minutes of the second half gone then, Keighley trailing by 4 points. Scoreline reading 14-10 in Batley's favour as Wilson, the man missing the penalty now, takes the ball back up. Charlie McAllister doing the tackling after Steve Hall had shepherded the man to the touchline side. A good tackle there by the little fella Moses on the number 5 Marshall. As Hartley looks to get outside his own half, brought down on that half line, halfway whitewash. Gratian, Mike Booth, tackle just inside the Keighley half of the field. And again it's Gratian bringing on Hanlon, full-back Wilson, but it's the last tackle coming up now as Hanlon appeals to the touch judge for a holding down. If he had a look at Wilson, he'd see that Wilson's completely free. Well taken there by Andy Stevenson as he goes across the centre of the park, but tackled in the centre there by the substitute Hartley. And it's moving across now, Mark Brook-Cowden. Some 7 or 8 metres from the halfway line. Steve Hall striding through again as he goes. The Batley players helping him on his way down this slope. Thought perhaps he might just have lost that ball there, but the play allowed to continue as Carlton Farrell yet again finds the happy knack of running into the bunch of players in front of him. Unable to evade those tacklers as Joe Grimmer now drives the ball in, dips, gets it on. Andy Ayres is going. Andy Ayres unable. A good tackle there by fullback Wilson. Looked as though Ayres could have been in at the corner. Good cover play though by Wilson as Mark Brook-Cowden now offloads there, back there to Dixon, goes for the chip through, but it's picked up and recovered by the Batley defender. Fortunately for Keighley, just losing his feet on the surface. Mark Milner on there to pull him back and again do the second tackle on the winger. Gratian knocking on though. Throws the ball down in disgust. Suspect that Jeff Gratian shouldn't have been the man there taking that ball in, Darrell.
Yeah, the one at second row should have been there, John. But Jeff came in, there was nobody else there, so Jeff come in. Forced over Keighley, knocked on.
So then we see the scrum form some 25 metres out from that Batley line. Andy Ayres, the man with the ball in his hand, in and out to him. Not the best of passes to Dixon, and Charlie McAllister runs round with Dixon. Andy Stevenson, he's got a lot to do there. There's 5 Batley players round him. Batley sliding defence, covering very, very quickly and very well there as Steve Hall takes that round the bootlaces. Keighley not really having much opportunity to spread the ball on this quite narrow Batley field, but doing so quickly there as Gately now offloads, well taken by Milner. Milner just grabbed inches short of the line there and not being allowed to get up. The Batley defender refusing to move from on top of him, and Mr. Kershaw allowing him to go with it.
You're missing it.
Pull out, Jeremy. You're not sent to kick, you pull out a little bit. Long ball out then to Wayne Race. Wayne Race looking for a hold through, but again it's the last tackle. Good defending by Batley. Gratian driving that ball in once more. 14 points to 10 the score is halfway through the second half rather. Gratian yet again trying to milk the penalty. Yet again Mr. Kershaw not impressed. Hartley through the hands of Tomlinson over the far side of the field now. 30 metres out there as Hardcastle gets up, plays the ball, throws it almost anywhere. Eyes taken off as Keith Dixon does well to regather that ball. Mark Brook-Cowden on the receiving end. And again, Keighley not anything set up particularly, having to use Steve Hall as the run-round man there. Keith Dixon settling things in the centre of the field after threatening twice to part with the ball. Andy Ayres goes for the chip through and the chase, and it has to be kicked dead by Batley. And really, KEIGHLEY are running short of ideas, Darrell, aren't they?
Yeah, they're running out of pitch as well, John. They're going across and finding that themselves having to come back because they're going towards touchline. Hopefully now they'll settle themselves down a little bit. They should give them breathing space now with this drop out. Give them time to gather their thoughts and set something up, hopefully.
Drop out then from underneath the post, coming back upfield. Wayne Race takes it on the first bounce, takes it back to Batley, goes through the first 3 tackles. Well tackled though by Hanlon. Good run there by Wayne Race, and Tomlinson a fortnight offside there. Absolute fortnight offside, Lane all over as well. Mr. Kershaw totally disinterested as Mark Brook-Cowden now taking play in. This man Tomlinson, Darrell, he stands offside at the play of the ball. He lays on all over the place as Joe Grimmer now driving in, loses the ball, tries to offload rather foolishly again. I just don't know what's happening, but Tomlinson's certainly causing trouble as well, isn't he?
Certainly is, John, yeah. He's interfering a lot around the play of the ball. KEIGHLEY don't seem to know what to do about him. They want to come away from him, stop him interfering. They try, I don't know, they look like they're playing into his hands. You know, they try to get themselves involved and play the ball.
Grayson again then driving up, bounces off Mark Brook-Cowden, the big fella playing his weight there, and Tomlinson again on through the hands of Hanlon. Hanlon coming across, look to offload. It's the last tackle though. Mr. Kershaw arm in the air. The KEIGHLEY defensive line offside at the far side as Tomlinson pushes that ball deep up to the KEIGHLEY try line area, but it's well gathered there, not going into touch. Wayne Race, the man taking it. Arm slightly round the throat there by number 11 Bonus. And John Vasilou having a tilt himself down the centre of the field. 12 metres from the halfway line, eventually gets up and plays the ball. Hartley must have been offside there, the way he got up, but coming up so quickly often causes holes in the defensive line. Andy Ayres, though, not able to get up and play the ball. Joe Grimmer now driving the ball in. Offloads this time. On the ball lost, but it went backwards, says the referee, quite obviously, as Steve Hall put the ball down. Certainly been laid all over again. And that's inside the 20, Darrell. It's that man Tomlinson again. Has this referee got a yellow card for a sin bin or not?
He ain't going to show it this time, John, if he has one.
Dixon then putting the ball into touch. KEIGHLEY decided that they're not going to go for 2. They need the 6 to get in front. But they certainly spent plenty of time inside this area as the big fella KEIGHLEY doing the driving through all on his own, totally lack of support. The drive set up though for something now. Paul Moses trying to go on his own there, and again just a bit at 6s and 7s KEIGHLEY here. Dixon running across the face, taken up top. The crowd behind the post, baying for the referee for that high tackle by Cass. And Andy Ayres now out to McAllister. McAllister gets the ball out, does he? But he gets it in. McAllister dummies his way over after threatening to offload to his left. Scores the try that brings KEIGHLEY back level. McAllister in then. 23.5 minutes in the second half gone. There's a man in shot now. Hands the ball on to John Vasilou to attempt the conversion. And certainly Darrell, KEIGHLEY needed something. They've had a lot of pressure in this last 10 or 15 minutes down there, only to be pushed back again. They needed something, and hopefully that's the try that they need.
Hopefully, John, yeah, this should, if John converts it, should put them in front. Then it's tackling time again, or running the ball back down this hill. You've got to stay down this bottom end of the park.
John Vasilou then adds the extras to the try, puts KEIGHLEY back in front. 16 points to 14 the scoreline reads with 25 minutes on the clock. And in fact, with a substitution, looks as though we're going to get underway. Andy Ayres, the man being brought off, and Phil Stevenson, the man coming on to replace him. Andy Ayres coming off, just limping slightly as he leaves the field. Keighley wisely protecting him from further injury, I suspect. As Hanlon now pumps that ball upfield. Keith Dixon, the man taking it on. Andy Stevenson taking his eye off the ball. It wasn't a pass that was put up into the right area, it was down by the knees. Stevenson not having an easy chance of taking that, and not able to take it as either. So that ball in and one against the head there. Paul Moses having moved to scrum half. Steve Hall then on through Stevenson. Stevenson coming through the centre of the field, scragged to the ground there. Not being allowed to get up and play that ball very quickly as KEIGHLEY now comes forward, and in fact a forward pass. That's the pass that comes from the acting half-back, and quite frankly it's got to be a damn good referee that sees that, Darrell, so far away.
Yeah, he's seeing these and missing a lot of others, John. I can't wait up. Jeremy, come out a bit.
And Phil Stevenson now left the field. Johnny Walker, the man coming on, as that ball won from the scrum, and coming round this short side where Batley, they had the beating of the KEIGHLEY defence, as the run round comes over the far side onto the hands of Whittaker from Hanlon. Mr Kershaw urging the KEIGHLEY defence to get back in that line, as Hardcastle now drives in towards the KEIGHLEY 20. Hartley, the man driving in this time. Play set up 10 metres from the KEIGHLEY line as Tomlinson gets the ball across through Cass onto Booth. The Batley supporters not at all happy with the way in which things are going, losing the ball there, and Mark Brook-Cowden regathering, Mike Booth striking at the ball, and in fact Hanlon penalised there for being offside, and I think possibly could have been lucky, Darrell, not to have been unlucky not to have had another 10 metres, given the way he was remonstrating with Mr Kershaw.
Yeah, we're telling him that KEIGHLEY played the ball in no uncertain terms.
Keith Dixon then puts the ball into touch. Steve. Well, certainly, fortunately for Steve Hall, Gratian there missed with the swinging arm. Certainly the oohs and the arse came out of the crowd here, and another arm there from Gratian. That was Gratian again. I don't know what's happened to him, but he I think was probably the instigator, and referees in fact telling him he actually saw the previous one, and he's told him to keep it calm, Darrell.
Yeah, he indicated there, I think, John, that he told him he saw the first one and the second one. Give it calm, otherwise you'll be away. But he could have been away anyway for 10 minutes.
I just wonder how many you have to see before anything happens, to be honest with you, when you see too quickly like that. We saw the referee on Friday night do Joe Grimmer and send him off for that 2-in-2 just as quickly, and fancy who was involved but that man Gratian. Carlton Farrell now driving through the centre of the field, but again KEIGHLEY running in single drives. Dixon onto Moses, Mark Brook-Cowden, he drives the ball in again. Looks as though we could see the ball move quickly across field now then, as Stevenson goes for the gap, looks to switch back inside, it comes out eventually. Mark Milner I suspect not the man expecting that. I don't think he was expecting Stevenson to offload in the tackle. McAllister out then to Dixon. Gately runs round with him. It strikes a Batley player, but it's a knock on both ways. It struck the Batley player, but accidentally, possibly, Mr. Kershaw saying. And so we've got a scrum down 15 metres out. Batley's head and feed. And we've got 10 minutes left on the running clock, plus any stoppage time. Cass then gets the ball out. Batley driving that ball up this slope again, 30 metres out from their own line, 16 points to 14. They trail as Hartley plays the ball. Tomlinson on then to Whittaker, but Whittaker tackled some 15 metres. Good break there through the centre of the field, and again it's Booth, the man in possession, onto Cass. Half intercepted there on the far side. John Vasilou doing the honours for Keighley, but again another good break up that touchline side. John Vasilou getting a very timely touch, and both the Batley defenders not standing square there. Mr. Kershaw very, very lax with both sides at not standing square at the tackle. Mark Milner, again not a good pass from Keith Dixon to Mark Milner, some 30 metres out. Johnny Walker tries to step inside, but tackled there as he does so, 10 metres from the halfway line. Mr. Kershaw calling the Batley defensive line back. Moses gets the ball out there to Stevenson. Stevenson, half a breakthrough, but it's the last tackle coming up as Gately gets the ball across there to Dixon. Dixon puts the ball left-footed down towards that touchline side. John Vasilou's doing the chasing, and he's going to do a good tackle back there on the wingman. Good chasing there by John Vasilou and wingman Thornton going back as though he'd all the time in the world. And in fact, Keighley penalised for stripping the ball out in the tackle. Well, after all that work, good work there by John Vasilou. Rather an unfortunate penalty, Darrell.
A silly penalty, John. I think the Batley player might have been holding him down. He was trying to get away. Looked like it for me. We're a fair way up, but that's what it looked like to me.
And where on earth are we going with this ball then? No, never went in. I was looking for it. I couldn't see it. I thought that was another ball that had come on the field.
No. What happened there, John? The kick for touch, it didn't go into touch. The toucher's never put his flag up. The little boy at the far side put it in where he thought it had gone over the line, but it hadn't gone. So it's play on. Wayne Race ran it out.
Well, certainly a fiasco there, to say the least. In the words of Keighley coach, it's a farce. As Paul Moses then takes the ball back in now for Keighley on the 20-metre line. Charlie McAllister just doing a bit of talking to Phil Stevenson. As Joe Grimmer now dips in the first tackle. Carlton Farrell receives the ball from the offload, but spills in the tackle. Was it pinched? Was it spilled? Who can tell from here? Batley coming back across now. Get back to that 20-metre line before being tackled. We've got 6 minutes on the running clock left as Batley now, there's only 2 points difference, and this man in possession now could cause the difference in the scoreline at the end of the day. As it is, he's on the floor and playing the ball. It's half-back partner Hanlon there taking play within 5 metres of the halfway line for Batley. And Tomlinson again now just puts the ball up for the chase. Running across the field, across the face, Wayne Race, eventually brought down there by Booth and Marshall. Plays the ball as Cass steps around. Johnny Walker in his original place on the wing, but latterly at full-back, feeling somewhat out of position, I suspect. Mark Brook-Cowden step in there as Ian Gately goes. Gately's looking for the support. Milner was on the outside. Obviously Gately couldn't hear the calls. Being held down all over the place there by Wilson as the leg was pulled back. Stevenson now gets the ball out. Chet McAllister's in. Oh, what an absolute enormous body swerve. Not a body swerve, dummy, call it what you will. But it was the Batley defence took that so easily, didn't they?
Certainly did there, John. They just sort of held play up. Batley just sliding defence, just kept on sliding. And under the post, good try.
Yeah, it was an absolutely absurd swerve there by McAllister that he just seemed to almost stop and then step back inside to put the points on the board. Give John Basilou a relatively simple task as the Batley supporters now, after seeing their charges put up a tremendous display in this second half, mysteriously now deciding that they've had enough and walking out. We've still got 5 minutes left on the clock. And that's not really good support from the Batley supporters' point of view. But John Basilou now steadying himself in front of those Batley posts. Through the feet, through the posts. That puts Keighley into the 20s, 22 points to 14. 2 scores required by Batley to get themselves back in front. And it's that man Hanlon and his half-back partner Tomlinson who have caused all the problems for the Keighley defence in this second half, and the first half for that matter, with the clever little kicks. And that ball had been allowed to go dead. Steve Hall in 2 minds whether to take it or not. Allowed it to go over his head, and the ball goes dead. Dixon then now to put this ball downfield. The ball hanging in the air, in the wind, well taken though by full-back Wilson as he drives back in towards the side of the field where the Keighley defence is gathered in strength. Whittaker taking the ball across the face of play now, but well tackled in the centre by Stevenson and Moses. Hooker all right. The ball over towards the far side of the field, and Batley really taking it across the face of play. The penetration gone at the moment as Bonus gets up and plays the ball onto Tomlinson. Tomlinson to Gratian, a big forward prop taking the ball forward, but still brought down on that 20-metre line. Gets up and plays the ball. Hartley now driving in again. We must be up to 5. We are indeed, as the referee raises his arm. As Tomlinson once more, is he going to put the chip in? Switches the ball back inside. Hanlon throws it anywhere, and Hooker Allroyd suffers at the hand of that unexpected pass back inside. Certainly couldn't really have been expected to take that, Daryl. It would have been good if he'd taken it.
If it had taken it, John, there was a big gap for him to go through for the posts.
Fortunately then, in that case for Keighley, the gap not being able to be exploited, as Steve Hall now bringing the play back down the centre of the field. Some 15 metres from the halfway line. Dixon just giving the signals behind his back as Gately now takes the ball in and looking to offload there. And I think, Darryl, as the players are getting dirtier, there's a distinct colour clash appearing.
Certainly is, John. Yeah, it showed on Friday night. That's why Keighley changed at half-time into the white. Today it's there. When they're in tight in and everybody's running through like that, you start to distinguish who's who.
Oh, nice step there by John Walker. Walker still going, offloads there to Wayne Race. Wayne Race is going in, is he? Yes. Has the referee given the try? Yes, he has. He gives the try after the touch judge assists him. Has a quick word with the touch judge there, but Wayne Race in, finally in at the corner in the last minute of normal time then. Giving Keighley, I think, a scoreline, Darryl, that in all fairness is somewhat flattering to say the least.
Yeah, a little bit flattering, John. I think they've done enough to win, really, but that's about all they have done. They don't deserve this good scoreline that they've got.
John Basilou then will be looking to put the extra points on the board. We can see there the target he's got is less than a metre in from the touchline side. Left-footed kicker, it's the right side of the field for him, but the wind coming up from the centre of Batley. Straight up this field. It will be a good one. It certainly will be a good one if he kicks this one. Timekeeper got the horns in the hand, ready to call time as soon as this conversion attempt has been taken and completed by John Basilou. Completely out of shot at the moment, but there's the ball going. Oh, and just certainly got the right direction, but just a bit short on line, the wind. There goes a hooter then. 24 points to 14, the final score. It's the last match of the season as far as the league is concerned. The next time we're on action is next Sunday at KEIGHLEY. We think at the moment it looks as though it could be Hunslet who are the visitors. We wait and see. But nonetheless, the final score here, 26 points to 14 to KEIGHLEY. A hard-earned victory, and certainly Batley can go away quite satisfied, I think, in their performance as well. That's it then for the season. It's the Premiership next. It's at KEIGHLEY. It's next Sunday. We'll be there. Hope you can join us.